is Steven from LegitTechTutorials, and welcome back to beginning Unity 5. So today what we're going to do is we're going to look at some UI development. So we're going to add a UI or heads-up display to this to show if we have our power-ups and if we have our score. So we're going to add those two things, and then we're going to also later on we're going to also make a title screen with this UI. So we're going to use the we're not going to use the legacy UI, which is on GUI. We're going to use the 4.6 GUI, the UI. So what they call is the 4.6 UI. What I mean by 4.6 is it was released in Unity 4.6, and it is a really good user interface. So a lot of this video is going to be spending time talking about how that UI works, and going over a few components like images. So we're going to do image, we're going to do image and text on this one. Text being the score, image being the power-up. So those are the two that we're going to talk about, and then of course later on it will be stuff like you know, buttons and whatnot. So let me go ahead and get started. So first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to add in a UI canvas. So UI canvas, sorry about that, I'm looking for my stopwatch here. Okay. Alright, so first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a canvas. So we're going to go to game object, UI, and then we're going to add a canvas. So here we have our canvas. Now what we need to do is we need to change some of the values in the canvas. So as you saw, I went game object, I did this a little quick, so let me go over it again. Game object, UI, canvas. And then here's our canvas here. We need to change a couple things in the canvas. So we have three different types of render modes. We have screen space overlay, screen space camera, and world space. So there's a bunch of, you know, unique stuff that you could do with the canvas, especially in 3D, where you could have like the canvas like pop up and then like tilted, so the text actually has depth rather than just in a 2D plane. So it's like projected onto the 3D plane to give it kind of like that depth and rotation look. So you could also do that in 2D to kind of give it like that. A lot of people will do the sci-fi look where it like it's looking at the 2D plane and the buttons are kind of like tilted forward. You know what I mean? They kind of taper downwards because they're tilted forward. We're just going to do a standard 2D flat UI. So what we're going to do is you can either do screen space overlay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do screen space camera. So what you do with the screen space camera, I'm just going to turn on pixel perfect. That's just like a sizing thing. And then what you want to do is you want to attach your main camera to the render camera. So I hit the little button and attach main camera. You could also drag in there. So now what you will have is you will have a blank canvas inside of your main camera. So the best thing about the UI 4.6 is that the this UI resizes according to what size of screen you're using on your device. The other UI system did not. So it will scale. So let's say you're using a smaller screen, it will scale so that your UI doesn't use up so much of your screen, and vice versa. If you use a larger screen, it's going to scale up your text as well as your images and stuff like that, so you could see what you're doing. So that is why we're going to use this. So we have to do a couple things in order to get that to work correctly, using anchors and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is after we have canvas selected, you go to UI, and then we're going to do a text. So here you see that the text pops up, and then we can still interact it with our WER, and also we're going to use the rect tool, which is mainly used inside of the canvas. So what we're going to do, what is the background? Is gray or blue? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to resize this box. So let's go ahead and stretch it out. And also we're going to, you could also move stuff around with the rect tool. So that's what I'm going to do because it's going to snap it right here in the center. snap it, and then now you see here in our text box we have only one field, and that's the text, but we have a whole bunch of other fields that we could change, such as centering, and then have it float in the center. But what we want it to do is we want it snapped to the top. So we're going to look in here. Let's actually have it snapped to the center. So that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to move this because our character is going to jump there. So I'm going to move this over to the corner, and I'm going to lock it in the corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place a temporary placeholder here, score, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this button here, best fit. So what it does is it's going to stretch the text to fit inside of the box. So no matter what I change the screen size to be, it'll be perfectly that size. So now let's look and see what happens if we don't set it up to where it resizes according to your screen size. Let's go ahead and hit start, and see now it moved its way down there. That is not what we want to do, and the reason is because of these anchors. So these little 4 points. So you have different types of anchors here that you could select, but I personally like moving it. So the anchors are actually right here in the center of the canvas. So you see these little 4 triangles here. Those are your anchors. The 4 top right, bottom left, and top left sides of the anchor. So these are very interesting to use. After you use it I don't memorize how they work. I should, to where it's instinctual, so I usually have to mess around with them. But usually it works from like this. So I'm going to put this around this corner, and it's always going to stay in that corner according to the size. So basically what I told it is that I want it to always take up this size of real estate on the corner, and there's other things that you could do with that. So for example, if I move this here, and then I move these, and then I move this anchor set right here, it'll always keep that distance no matter what the screen size is. And you'll see here I'll change the screen size, make it really small. No matter what the screen size, it'll always maintain this distance from that corner. You see here it actually changed because it only moves it on runtime. So that is why it changed like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move back here, and then you'll see if I don't move this all the way to the corner, what it'll do here. It'll scale it differently, right? So actually what it would usually what I do is have it set a gap. So here I have it maintain a gap, right? So mainly this top and bottom here is the size. So let's see what happens when I do it like half. So this is talking about, you see the percentages of the screen. So I'm at 85% of the screen, and I'm losing 15% here, 94% over here. So it's got all those percentages there, and it tells me how much screen I'm going to be using up. So it doesn't, when it's inside this box, it doesn't really do anything. It's doing exactly how we want it to work. Okay, so that is how we want it to go. We're going to actually move it over a little bit, just because we want to, we're going to add the text in there, and we're going to change that. I'm going to show you how to use your scripts to change the text that's inside there. So we're going to do the power-ups after this. And what I want to do is I want to do all the power-ups over here. The reason being is that I want your view to always be in front of the character instead of looking behind, because then you don't see what's coming up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up MonoDevelop with our script, and I'm going to have it attached to character. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a variable score equals integer. I'm just going to have it truncate to an int. And what I'm going to look at is I'm going to take this here, and I'm going to take this is score equals plus equals speed times So basically what this says here. And then we could also change the scale so it doesn't go like crazy. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. So what I'm going to do is after this I'm just going to do a print line and I'm going to say score. So let's just see what that looks like. So obviously this isn't attached to our image yet, but let's just see what it looks like there in the bottom. I know why I had the issue. I forgot to initialize it to a 0. Okay. Alright, that's fine now. It might be because I'm not moving very quickly. Oh, I see. No, it should still work. Okay. So let's go take a look here. Okay. So instead of this, let's have it equal the character. This is local position. Let's copy. Alright. Alright, I like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to later on change this guy to where he's at 0, 0. So he starts at 0, 0. So that's what we're going to start off as. But right now it's fine. So we're just going to have it as character position. All right. So in-game units, and then what we could do is just multiply that by a scalar to say that that's your score. So for example, as the game progresses in difficulty, the multiplier is increased. Something like that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to attach those two. So what we're going to do is we're going to import unity.ui. Now I believe that is the correct... Oh. It's unity... Okay, cool. Alright, so that is the Unity engine.ui, and what we're going to do is we're going to refer to that. So basically you need to import the UI because it's not a standard library that's imported standardly inside your project, so you need to import it because it's kind of like a utility thing. Then what we're going to do is we're going to create an object that uses the UI. So I'm going to because like this is the game stuff, and then like this will be the UI stuff. So variable, and we're going to say that this is text. Oh, sorry, the name score text. Yeah, score text. Type of text. So that is basically what it looks like. you see that we don't have any issues when we do that. And then what we're going to do is, instead of print score here, well, we'll leave that just as a debug. We're going to say score text dot text equals score. So what we need to do is we probably need to truncate it to a string. So that will take care of that issue. Okay, cool. Because it would probably not work if you got rid of this. Because the reason being, if you're not see. So you see here, if I would have ran it, it said cannot convert int to string. So basically, score is an int, but text only receives strings. So what we need to do is we need to convert score to a string. So what we do, kind of the getaway of doing it, is to do two quotation marks and then slap score at the end of it. And now when you do the two quotation marks, you can't add quotation marks into integer, so it basically adds the integer to a string. So that's how you could have the empty quotation marks in there. So that is a quick way of doing it. I don't know if you could. Yeah, I don't think you can do that. Alright. Yeah, there probably is a way to typecast it. I never actually typecast it. I usually just do it this way because that always works. Okay. So now, I didn't point it. Sorry. I always forget to point it. Right here. So we're gonna go here, look for, and we're gonna rename this so we could keep it orderly. Score text, and then we're going to go back to our character, main character, and we're going to dump the score text into our score text here. And now we can see our score text. And I noticed that I forgot to put score in here, so that will also help us there. There we go. So that is perfect. So that right there is our score, and it is helping, so what we could do is we could use the temporary variables that Unity has to keep your max score and stuff, and we'll probably go over that later. Okay, so that is good. And also another thing that we could do is we see negative 69.9. So another thing that we could do is it's another way of doing it. So there you go. So it started from 0. Alright. So that is our score. Very, very simple. The score is mapped to our character's X position, and as he moves to the right, your score increases. Right now it's constant with his position, so you could want to have it where the farther he goes, it like doubles, or using an if loop and calculations. So as the farther he goes, or the more stuff he jumps over, the score doubles, or some other stuff like that. Or he could get a score boost when he hits one of the upgrades, stuff like that. Okay, so another thing we're going to add inside the UI is we're going to add a small, there's a couple ways of doing this, but what we're going to do is we're going to add a UI. Since we want to do this all in UI, because we want to learn about the UI, we're going to do a image, and we're going to place this image in there, and this image in there, so that we have like a little thing that when we hit it, it's going to set that image up and push it into this little UI. So we know, because previously we didn't know whether we had the invincibility, the shield power up, or the jump power up. So by adding these two UI components, we'll be able to see that we have the shield and the double jump, power up. So let's go ahead and do that. What you want to do is every time you add something to the UI, make sure that you select your canvas that you want to add it to. So make sure you do that. So UI, and then we're going to have, I can't even remember the difference between those two. So let's go ahead and go up here. So I'm just gonna add something that's transparent. Okay, so this is a type sprite. So what I'm also going to need to do is attach that UI sprite. So these are just like the native UI sprites, the little native UI sprite sheet for the buttons and stuff. So I'm going to use that as my blank no material. So that's going to be my oh, actually, sorry, I didn't see the color there. I'm just going to dump the alpha. Okay, so that should stay constant, but we'll see here in a second. Okay, so I dumped the alpha, you're not going to be able to see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this, and you see that it automatically goes underneath the canvas. So I'm going to call this the double jump, and then I'm going to duplicate this, duplicate, then move it slightly to the side, and it's going to be called sheild. You see now that we're getting very, very close to our character already. So another thing that we need to do is our anchors are moved. So basically what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I would usually go about doing something like this. Of course, you could come up with your own way that you want to do this, but I'm going to show you the way that I do it. So I'm going to go like this. And so this is this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it that I want it to maintain this gap, this little small gap here between this other UI component here. So every time I modify this UI component, and that should be in the rec tool, every time I modify this component, I'm going to have to move these anchors. Okay. And then this one, I'm going to do the same exact thing, and they're down here at the bottom. So I'm going to do the same exact thing here, except for it's going to be on this side of the score button here. So it maintains this gap here between this here and the score. Okay, let's find the other one. Alright, that looks good. Alright, so obviously we can't take a look at it because we're not going to be able to see it in game when it resizes itself. So we're just going to move into the code and change it. So let's go ahead and jump into the code, and what we're going to look for is we already have that set here. So we're going to have var double jump HUD, and then we're going to have that of type image, and we're going to have var sheild HUD type image. Now the image, it accepts sprites, so we're good to go. They're compatible, right? So what we need to do is we need to have a var double jump of type sprite, because we need to pass the sprite there, and then we need to have the sheild. This is going to have issues. We're going to call this sprite sheild sprite, because we have a variable of that name down here, which is double. So we don't want to overload and confuse ourselves. So we could overload the variable, but we don't want to do that. Okay, so sheild HUD. Okay, so that's what we want to do there. So we're gonna have to link up a whole bunch of stuff. Hopefully, I remember after I do this to link that stuff up. So after we get this, what we're gonna do is we're going to do a what is this? The double jump. Oh, power up. So this is the sheild HUD dot image. What is it? Sprite equals sheild sprite, and then I'm just going to copy and paste this, copy, paste, and then this is double jump HUD, and then we're going to say this is double jump sprite. Okay, now let's see if we have any errors. Cool, no errors. Now we're gonna have to attach a whole bunch of stuff. So we're gonna go main character, and then we have the we're gonna have to go in here. Also, let's probably check. So it's just gonna map. It's just gonna stretch the image. There's no thing for maximize or anything like that. So we're gonna go main character, assets. So go back to main character. And we're gonna drop these in. So this is a double jump sprite. Double jump sprite. This is the shield right there. Shield sprite, and then shield HUD. So shield HUD. Shield HUD. Double jump HUD. Double jump HUD. All right. And then we're also going to need to. I just realized. Oh, because the color. Color. Still not. Is it because of color? Alright, so I paused it. Okay, so it changed it, but the color is not right. So let's see if I. So yeah, the whole like not having the that thing is having issues. So what we're gonna do is I need to have these changed here to alpha. So one of the things that we're going to do is I'm going to delete this, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add that emptiness sprite to it. So that's actually what we're going to start out with. So that sprite I told you about down here, the UI mask, we're going to add those to this. You might see it, but who cares? So let's go ahead and add that. So I'm going to say var empty sprite and sprite. So what happens is that when I set double jump to false, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy double jump. Okay, I'm going to set that to empty sprite. And then I'm going to do that again. Okay, and then I'm going to have this as shield HUD. It's equal to empty sprite. So that way, should go without a hitch now. Okay, so you're going to see it. Did I switch? Oh. Okay, so this is a double jump, this is a shield. Ah, of course, I forgot to attach the crap again. I always forget that. So I'm in game, so I'm gonna stop. I forgot to add the empty sprite, which I'm gonna hit the little circle, type, put in the UI mask. Ah, there you go. So let me show you that this one works here. Let me bring it down so I run into it. And there it is. And there it is, and there it goes, and there it goes. Alright, so that is, as you see, everything is working. So that that is some UI basics here. So another thing we could have is lives, but obviously we don't have lives. Technically, the shield is your life. So, yeah. Alright, so that seems to be it for this tutorial here. We will go back into using UI when we do our title screen and like a desk screen. So we'll use UIs for those two levels, technically levels. Alright, so this has been Steven from LegitTechTutorials. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please subscribe for more videos like it in this series and other series as well. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah, make sure to save your work every time. Every time at the end of the video, save your work. And I'd like to thank you for watching it, and take it easy. Peace.